and there are 2 quick-fire qualifying sessions of 30 minutes each. Key decisions have to be taken quickly. Make the wrong move and you might not be racing on Sunday. And wrong moves are easy to make at Silverstone. As cars begin to venture out on the track, weather conditions are uncertain. The rain might have stopped, but the circuit remains wet from an earlier downpour. To begin with, wet tyres are essential. The team's pit equipment will be given a rude awakening from its winter hibernation because of the changing conditions. Cars pause momentarily at the end of the pit lane. Teams may only use a limited number of sets of tyres per weekend, and officials have to check to see that all the tyres carry the stamp of approval. Once practice is underway, the wide tyres soon disperse much of the surface water, leading to a flurry of pit activity as conditions continue to fluctuate. In the pits, there are frantic discussions as drivers seek counsel with their race engineers. It's vital that a good rapport is struck up at the start of a busy season, which packs in 10 races across the whole of Europe, from Helsinki in the north to the Sicilian Speed Bowl of Enna in the south. The mood in the Formula 3000 paddock has always been convivial, but the effort and concentration required to prepare a competitive car are just as intense as they are in any other form of motorsport. At Silverstone, there was not much time between sessions to eradicate simple problems, and none at all to sort out anything serious. Brazilian driver Ricardo Zonta finally secured pole position, and as the crowd flocks in on Sunday morning, the weather looks deceptively promising. But the Formula 3000 race is scheduled at the end of the day, and things can quickly change at Silverstone. Already, the weather forced the abandonment of the preceding FIA GT race, which the torrential conditions reduced to a multi-million-pound destruction derby, leading to an inevitable red flag. Prior to its eventual stoppage, a long section of the GT race had taken place behind the safety car. If it's adjudged too tricky for the slower GT cars, it'll not be safe to start the Formula 3000 race.
Well, at the moment, we have to go and see what the track's like. Obviously, they stopped the GTs, and they didn't stop them for any unusual reason, just because the track was dangerous. And we're going straight out after them, so it's really hard to understand why we can race on them when a GT can't.
RSM Marco, champion team in 1996, is still making preparations. One of its drivers is Craig Lowndes.
Well, I haven't had a good chance to have a look at the circuit yet. I guess we will now. So they stopped the GT race and we'll just have to see. But yesterday in our first qualifying session, we were aquaplaning on a wet setup. So it can be done. It's just a matter of how well the circuit can drain it.
Have you ever seen conditions like this in Australia?
Only at Bathurst last year, where it was pretty treacherous, and it was at one stage there we're going to stop it, but like the rain wasn't going to stop it. It was just the fog was moving in as well, so it can be difficult at times.
So you're quite happy there's no fog today?
Well, I'm quite happy, but unfortunately there's a lot of black clouds still coming ahead, so we've got a little bit of time. We've got about another half an hour yet, but you know, we just have to wait and see.
As the last few drivers start to make their way towards the grid, there's still no sign of a let-up in the dire weather. As Colombian Juan Pablo Montoya, second fastest, takes up his starting position, he still has time to answer a quick call of nature, although the pole man, Richard Zonta, actually beats him to it. At the conclusion of the final formation lap, all 26 cars are present and correct for the wettest Formula 3000 race since Spa in 1994. Zonta on the right appears to make the best start as he and Montoya sprint towards Copse Corner. In sharp contrast, the red Lola of Rui Agua flounders in the sea of wheel spin, the Portuguese driver's hard-earned 5th place on the grid going to waste as he plummets down the field. Zonta leads the race only briefly. Montoya breaks later for Copse, and the Colombian driver takes the initiative from Zonta, Ayari, Lowndes, Watt, Frenchman Laurent Redon, and Brazilian Max Wilson. In conditions like this, it's more of an advantage than ever to be leading a race. As the field streams down the Hangar Straight, Zonta feints to make a move for the lead, but Montoya keeps the door firmly closed. It's clear the drivers are still feeling their way. These are the wettest conditions they've experienced all weekend. The part of the circuit worst affected by the puddles is Abbey. The leaders pick their way through safely, but not everyone is so fortunate. Italian Fabrizio Gollan's car has been struck by Frenchman Anthony Beltoise, and in the general confusion, Yorkshireman David Cook ploughs irretrievably into the gravel. Through the spray, Zonta emerges in a comfortable second place. The closer he gets to Montoya, the worse his visibility will be. Although the skies are now predominantly blue, the tall rooster tails indicate how damp the circuit still is. Even so, the racing line is starting to dry, and drivers are starting to dart around in search of wet patches to prevent their treaded tyres from overheating. Montoya is making better progress than the rescue crews, who are frantically working to try and clear Beltoise's abandoned car. In the first quarter of the race, Montoya looks set to record a memorable debut F3000 victory, underlining the form he'd shown throughout the pre-season testing. Behind, Zonta continues to hold on to second place ahead of Watt, who's under pressure from Ayari. A narrow, drying line is increasingly visible on the circuit. There is action all the way down the field. Number 15, Spain's Marc Jean, is being pressed hard by Frenchman Cyril Sauvage. But he's still able to pass Gareth Rees on the outside of Luffield too. And all three of them are in hot pursuit of the Argentinian driver Gaston Mazzacani. Despite the conditions, this group continues to fight hard all the way around the lap. Before you get on in motor racing, you need to gain experience. And Tom Christensen has experience in spades. And it shows as he passes Lowndes around the outside of Stowe Corner, leaving the young Australian at the mercy of Morelli and Aguirre. While Morelli contemplates what to do about Lowndes, Aguirre has already made up his mind about Morelli. But it doesn't come off. Coming into Abbey, the Portuguese driver loses control on the dampest part of the track, and he spins into the gravel, his race run. Now Morelli attacks Lowndes, trying a brave move on the inside of the high-speed bridge corner. Lowndes just holds him off, so Morelli switches his attack to the outside line. But again, the Australian defends his position resolutely. Morelli finally sets himself up for a successful pass as the two of them head for Copse. Morelli's DKS Lola breaking deeper into the corner and progressing into the top six. Morelli, winner of the opening round of the British F3000 Championship, is currently leading the home contingent. The complexion of the race changed after Gareth Rees, struggling with an ill-handling car, spun into the foot of the bridge just before the corner of the same name. The marshals struggled to remove the damaged Durango Lola, and the order was given to activate the safety car to allow officials to clear the debris in safety. Meanwhile, Ayari slides off the circuit before he knows the safety car is coming out, losing a couple of places. With the race neutralised, however, he will immediately recover any time he's lost. The safety car is good news for Jean-Philippe Belloc, who's able to pass and recuperate the lap he lost in the start while the safety car picks up the race leader. The safety car system has been introduced as an alternative to stopping races, to minimise the delays caused by accidents and to allow course marshals to work more quickly. The drivers must follow obediently in line astern until the safety car is withdrawn. When the safety car's roof lights go out, it means the racing will resume on the next lap. As the Porsche finally pulls off, Montoya puts his foot down and sets about rebuilding the lead, which had been his 5 minutes earlier. For the rest, it's just like the original start, with visibility reduced to near zero in the curious blend of sunlight and spray. Into Club Corner, Montoya is under no pressure, but two-thirds of the way through, he simply loses control and slides into the gravel. Zonta now leads the race for Supernova, with a similar-looking car of Watt in second place, as Montoya rejoins in 17th, shortly to retire with handling problems. Wilson's anxiety to pass what costs him his front wing, and that makes his Edenbridge car very difficult to drive. As the Brazilian's front wheels fight for grip, Christensen is able to move up another place, and Wilson is rapidly consumed by the rest of the snarling pack. Moments later, he too will retire. But there's no stopping Zonta, who completes the final quarter of a lap to take his third Formula 3000 victory and 10 championship points in his first race for his new team. In the pits, the Supernova team is delighted and celebrates its third straight victory in prestigious Silverstone's International Trophy, as Christensen takes second, repeating his 1996 Silverstone result. A few seconds later, Kashure cements his third place, a quarter of a second ahead of Davies. So how does Supernova boss David Sears feel?
I'm really pleased for all the team, and Ricardo Zonta obviously in particular. We've actually now managed to win this race 3 years running, so that's something of a record.
So there we have the results from the opening round of the Formula 3000 Championship. A good win for Zonta and the Supernova racing team. The points position shows Zonta leads on 10 with Christensen on 6, and just like Formula 1, down through to 6th place. Australia's Craig Lowndes not featuring in the points. There's only one tradition left to fulfill, and despite his experience in winning F3000 races, Zonta is last to pop the cork as he revels in some of the most expensive shower gel known to man.